Alright, good morning everyone. I had a couple of people say that they wanted me to redo how I was setting up this tier list, so I've reorganized it a little bit in terms of where I've gotten new information, for instance for Shadower, as well as, not Paladin, as well as Buccaneer. So I did a small adjustment there, and we're just going to go ahead and quickly go over the adjustments and changes. Just so this is noted, this is for Artale, specifically within the current patch, which is 3rd job only. We are going to be getting Populatus soon. We do not have access to Aquarium, and we are going to be getting PPQ soon, along with Mulan. So just so we kind of know where we're at in terms of patch cycle and stuff like that. I'm gonna just go over everything in terms of a quick tier list and breaking everything down skill-wise, because some people had also said that I wasn't being detailed enough as to why each class goes where they go. So we're gonna just start from the top and go from here. I'm gonna try to make this quick and simple. Bishop. First job on all 3 mages is very, very good. It's very efficient, does good damage, you don't miss a whole lot, aside from if you're extremely underleveled. You can go luckless, so you can push all your stat into int, so you do big damage, magic claws of blessing, so on and so forth. Second job for Bishop, Cleric with MP Eater and Heal. Once MP Eater and Heal are both online, this class becomes absolutely free to farm. You can go anywhere where there are undead mobs that cast spells, which there's a lot, right? And you can farm basically for free. This is your money maker. This is the easiest farmer. It is the laziest farmer. It just is the best farmer in terms of making money, as well as also just general utility. In 3rd job, you get Seal, which... I'm sorry, not Sealed, Doom, which is not super important, but you do have that. You have Dispel. Most importantly, you have Holy Symbol, which is just straight up more EXP for the entire party, or just yourself if you're just solo farming. It's bar none the best farming class in the game. As well as also you get Shining Ray at this point, which then turns it into a very simple just farm wherever there is a holy weak monster, and you just do a lot of damage. For perspective, my 81 priest with level 30 Shining Ray when I did an SP reset test was doing approximately 3.5 to 4Ks at Dark Yeti pet base. So just something to keep in mind. It's a very, very good class overall. That is why it is in SS tier, because it just runs circles around a lot of the other classes in terms of overall cost basis as well as function long term. Dark Knight. Dark Knight first job and second job are just fine and dandy, nothing fancy. They just kind of get the job done. You only have to really worry about Dex, but you don't have to have Dex for secondary, or Dex as a secondary stat to equip higher level gear. It's just for accuracy. So you can essentially tailor your accuracy depending on where you want to train. That goes for Dark Knight, that goes for Hero, as well as also Paladin. Dark Knight also gets a reworked final attack, as do the others, but for Dark Knight specifically it's very important because of the reach that Spear has, as well as also just the overall damage that it outputs. His second job is just fine. It's nothing fancy, doesn't do anything crazy. Hyperbody starts to become very, very relevant in 3rd job. No matter who you're grinding with, no matter where you're partying, no matter what boss or area boss you're doing, Hyperbody is near essential. It's something that cannot be passed up. 3rd job, Fury into Crusher in terms of leveling is just best in the slot. You start off leveling up Fury, and then once you can get, I think it's 23 points, or is it 25 points into Dragon Crusher, regardless of if you do spear or polearm, it's your choice depending on what you want. Polearms in Artale and spears have the exact same multiplier, regardless of if you do stab damage or swing damage, so no difference there. You can choose whichever of those two you want to do. That's another advantage that Dark Knight has. But third job, it just is one of the better mobbers. It's a lot of damage, it's good single target damage, it has a lot of applicability for the whole party. It's just good. Night Lord. Night Lord is Night Lord. Lucky 7 is very, very, very nice early on. Lots of damage early on. You can't go dexless. You have to go low dex or regular dex, depending on what gear you have access to. At this point, most of the sins I know are normal dex, so just bear that in mind. I believe that the best strategy at the moment is to start off low luck, is to start off low dex until you get Meba. Make sure you have enough dex for Meba. Use the scrolled Meba until whenever you decide to replace the Meba. It's up here in S tier, not SS tier, purely because the mobbing is kind of meh. Lucky 7 carries in terms of damage, but yeah, there's nothing particularly crazy about it, but it does a good job. Single target, it will be very worthwhile. Flash jump is very nice, haste is very nice. Meso up is very buffed in Artale. It's very, 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 very good. It saves a lot of money. Alchemist saves money in third job. Shadow Partner, of course, is very good. So, S tier for Night Lord. Fire Poison. Fire Poison is only not in SS tier because it lacks a lot of single target damage. First job, like I said with the other mages, is very solid, nothing fancy, does a good job. Second job, Fire Arrow is buffed, it hits up to 3 mobs, it's just better farming. Second job was Fire Poison's main weakness, in my opinion, for the most part, when it comes to training, which was the slow point to getting to third job. And with PPQ coming out soon, which should come out and be released for level 55 and up, that also helps with third job, or with second job to third job transition. And then it's just poison farming and mist farming. And I don't know exact rates for Fire Poison, but Corsair's dot farming at level 80 is approximately 20 to 25% per 10 minutes, which is insane. And that's solo. Bear that in mind. So Fire Poison is just capital B broken, aside from single target DPS for farming. Shadower has been buffed by a good bit. I was not aware of the capability that Meso Guard was allowing, so I've decided to move it up from A tier to S tier with regard to having it on the same level as Fire Poison and Night Lord. In my opinion, it is one of the better bossers in the game currently. It is also one of the better farmers in the game currently, Band of Thieves or doing Savage Blow into Meso Explosion farming. Not a whole lot to say in terms of changes there. Your first job is a little bit weak. You can either do Syndit or Double Stab. I don't know what is the current meta for that, but first job is a little on the weaker side. Second job is stronger due to the fact that Steel is now a mobbing ability and it has Life Leech, or whatever you want to call regen on hit, basically. It has Life Steal to an extent. So essentially you hit mobs, you get a little HP back. It's very good. Third job, Meso Explosion, is reworked to be really, really strong in terms of you apply a debuff to the mob and then eventually you explode the debuff. Very efficient for farming, especially third job at DTs and stuff like that, as well as Phantom Watch. A lot of the people I have in my guild just can grind the shit out of anything that they want, and they're very comfortable overall. Even with Himes or Heims, whatever you want to call them, later on in like level 100s and late 90s is very, very good for them. So that, along with the fact that it's one of the few classes that can solo boss very, very efficiently due to Meso Guard, Currently, this is very high value. If you did not know, for area bosses, they drop bags of meso that can contain anywhere from, depending on what type of bag of meso they drop, anywhere from 300k to a mil meso per bag, per boss that you kill. And if there's, say, 70 channels that are active, if you have the boss timer, that's a lot of money. So just keep that in mind. That's why I'm putting this up here, is purely because of the ability to not only just farm and solo boss, but the arena boss buffing. That's also why I have Dark Knight as a notch up, is because Hyper Body is very nice for some of the higher end bosses like Blue Mush Mom and so on and so forth. Moving on, Corsair. Corsair, to be honest, I think should be up here. I don't think it deserves to be an A. I think it's too broken right now in terms of flamethrower tech, as well as also I didn't realize this in the last video, but they buffed burst fire, so it does 210% damage per line 3 times, as opposed to 160 or 180 or something like that, is what I usually remember, and that's how I ranked it last time. So technically speaking, your single target mobbing, along with, I believe it's Homing Beacon? Yeah, along with Homing Beacon, which stacks additional damage, as well as also with the reworked grenade, which lowers enemy defense by 10%. Corsair single target DPS should be higher than Night Lord early on in 3rd job, like through level 100 to 110-ish. Your single target DPS would be higher on Corsair. And then Lucky 7 scaling takes over again. So just bear that in mind, that Corsair is going up here purely because of 3rd job and its buffs. That's specifically why. Because it does additional damage to single target, because it lowers their mob ignore defense, as well as also the flamethrower farming is very, very, very potent. Once you hit 78, 79, you can tick the mobs down to 1 HP, you just go to Phantom Watch, and you get a bazillion EXP per minute. It's ridiculous. So, yep, GG's on that. That is why I'm very much so considering putting it up here, and I'm going to leave it up here. I would put it higher than Fire Poison, but Fire Poison's dot farming is easier to do than Corsair's is. And Fire Poison has more survivability with Magic Guard if you really need it. So you can go to higher mobs faster than Corsair could. Corsair would rely on HP to be comfortable doing that. Ice Lightning. 1st job, same as the other 3. Very good, very powerful, very fast, easy to do, very efficient. You don't have to worry about it. 2nd job, you do get a couple of specific training spots that are unique to Ice Lightning because of lightning weak mobs like Clangs and Larangs. I believe I mentioned that last video. Very good. Banes, as well as also other ice weak mobs, get a very good advantage for 3rd job for Ice Lightning. Their single target is weak, they don't have a whole lot for that, but their training overall is very good. It's not as efficient as Fire Poison or Corsair. It's about the same level of mobbing as Shining Ray is, but with a little bit more verticality. But you don't have HS, so it drops down here. Paladin, because of the charge rework system and how everything stacks up with Frost Effect and all that stuff, and being able to freeze mobs, as well as also just generally being a lot stronger than before, I believe Paladin deserves to stay in A. I'm not going to put it above Ice Lightning, as I believe Ice Lightning is still better than Paladin, but I'm going to be leaving it in here. Power Guard and all that stuff is also very important later on, but as of right now, I'm just going to leave it in A. It does a good job. It's nothing insane, but it does a very good job, and I think it's stronger than the next one, which is Hero. Hero is weak. In my opinion, still 3rd job. even with Coma and with combo orbs being fixed and all that stuff, I don't think I can put it quite up to A yet. It really begins to shine with combo orbs and Coma and stuff once we get Brandish in 4th job, so Hero's kind of in 4th job waiting room. Otherwise, it's fine, nothing fancy, just gets the job done. Marksman. This is a little bit controversial for some people who are like, oh, but Bowmaster, why is Bowmaster down here and Marksman's up here? Marksman's up here for 3 reasons. Number 1, Iron Arrow is better than Arrow Explosion for flat maps. So things like fog, things like cargoes, etc. Which in 2nd job, you will spend a lot of time at fog and cargoes. 2, ignore defense for fog is very important. Yes, Bowmaster can go to GT4 and Lupins, but I feel that the training for Marksman is just a good bit better. In 3rd job, neither of these classes have their buff that is supposed to be here, which is a strafe buff, which has higher crit rate, as well as but lower crit damage. So it kind of balances out to where it's similar, but it is a little bit of a buff overall. But neither of them have this buff, so that's why they are lower. Frost Shot then, or I'm sorry, whatever the Blizzard, I think is the name of the Ice Arrow shot that they do, I'm blanking on it right now as of this second, is very nice for training. I think it's better than Inferno, which is dot farming, so I am putting it up here still. And in 4th job, this will eventually be quite a bit better, but that'll be for another video. They will skyrocket. Buccaneer is going up a tier from being with Bowmaster. I had mentioned this in a note from the previous video on the first comment, because I had gotten a view of a couple of people doing some Marauder as well as Brawler training at GT4 as well as also at Death Teddies. Their damage is very, very high. But that doesn't change the fact that they are still buggy and that their movement and hitboxes and stuff is not that great. So just keep that in mind, that that's something to remember. That it's strong, there's a lot of stuff that's strong, but if you don't have the accuracy, and if you don't want to deal with bugs, might not be the class for you. And because it's still buggy, I would not necessarily recommend it, but if you want to play it, it is fairly strong in terms of mobbing and stuff, with corkscrew and backspin blow. So, just keep that in mind. Bowmaster, again, similar to Marksman, Arrow Explosion is the only thing that you have that does a little bit of stunning. Yeah, that's nice. It's not 100% stun rate though, like Corsair's Blank Shot, which is a 99% stun rate, so it just does not get as much love as it needs. It really does need a couple of buffs, in my opinion. 4th job, you do get some buffs, you get Sharp Eyes, you get all that other stuff, but from a 3rd job meta server currently, even with assuming the Inferno buffs and the dot buffs and stuff, people don't farm with Inferno on Bowmaster. Why? Because they would rather use Arrow Rain. Now, they can use Arrow Rain to be very effective at like Vikings and stuff, but that's Vikings. That's all the way at level in the mid 80s is when most people have started doing Vikings, maybe in the early 90s from the bowmen I've talked to. So I just don't think that they're that strong at the moment, and they need a lot of help. Once they get the strafe buff, maybe they go up here, and then I reevaluate this Holden card tier list, but I think relative to these other classes, it's a little too weak. So yeah, just kind of keeping that in mind. It's pretty simple, pretty plain, easy to put together. I hope this wasn't too long. I hope that all makes sense. I used a different tier list maker so that everyone who was a little confused by the other models and the other art and stuff like that, it makes more sense. I wish I had a version of this that was the old school art as opposed to the newer art, but I don't, so I'll see if I can make one for the next one. So this will be the tier list redux. If you have any questions, feel free to put comments down below. Subscribe, like, all that shenanigans. This channel's still new and I'm still getting used to this sort of stuff, so yeah. Otherwise, you can usually catch me live on Twitch, so feel free to look at the links below and get everything up and running. And I hope this helped you guys make any decisions that you had on either making alts or new mains. Yeah. Later. Have a good day.